welcome back to KA MMA. I'm Khalil Deal.
I'm Andio.
We are KA MMA. We are about to talk about UFC 303, and we're going to talk about our early predictions for the prelims here. This is going to be a really, really good card. It's looking to be pretty amazing, and we're going to start off with the prelims here, our early predictions, and we'll start off by going through the card. The first fight we got is Ricky Simón versus Vinicius Oliveira. Carlos Hernandez versus Ray Tsuruya. Andre Arlovsky versus Martin Budai. Michelle Waterson Gomez against Jillian Robertson. Peyton Talbot against Yanis Gemuri. Charles Jourdain against Gene Silva. Cub Swanson versus Andre Feely. And then the main event of the prelims here, we got Joe Pyfer versus Marc-André Barriault. All right, so we're going to get right into it. Let's start off with the first fight here with Ricky Simón versus Vinicius Oliveira. Hopefully in this one, me and Andy O are going to agree on a lot more this time, hopefully.
Hey, what happens happens in the end, eh? Yeah, I can't wait for this card. Opening up, it's Ricky Simón against Oliveira here. In this one, I got Ricky Simón. I think to get right down to it, I think his wrestling is going to be way too much for Oliveira here. I do think Oliveira is the more interesting striker, the better striker. Like Simón's striking isn't that great, but it's really the wrestling and the toughness that's going to get him the win here. And it's a big step up in competition, I think, here for Vinicius. In his last couple of fights, Ricky Simón lost to Mario Batista and Yadong Song, and it's nothing to be ashamed about losing to both those guys. One he lost by decision, and one he lasted until round 5 against Song Yadong, who we both agree is pretty good, right? I say Ricky Simón bounces back, tenacious as ever, gets those takedowns, and wins a decision here. What about you, Vadim?
Right, man. Good to hear. We are in agreement with the first fight of the prelims. I also have Ricky Simón to get the win here. I really like Ricky Simón. This guy is an amazing, amazing grappler and wrestler. And I think that that's where he's going to shine here, because Vinicius Oliveira is not very good at wrestling and grappling. He's more of a striker, as we know. And as you said, Ricky Simón has fought the better fighters, man. I mean, Mario Batista is really, really good. Song Yadong is really, really good. He did beat Jack Shore by submission. He also knocked out Rafael Assunção the fight before that, and he won a decision against Brian Kelleher the fight before that. He is 20-5. Vinicius is 20-3, but Vinicius, who did he really beat? He beat Bernardo Sopage by knockout. And in that fight, yeah, it was a nice knockout. It was a flying knee. He did knock him out in spectacular fashion, but during that fight, he was taken down quite often by Bernardo Sopage, who's not really a grappler or a wrestler. He's more of a striker.
You could say he was losing that fight, right, until he hit that knee.
That's right. He was losing the fight until he did get that knockout there. And Bernardo Sopage is really not anybody that's really at the level of a Mario Batista or a Song Yadong or even a Jack Shore. Prior to that, he beat Victor Madrigal by knockout, Hikaru Yoshino, Ali Taleb. And these are all in, this was in the Dana Rice Contender Series when he beat Victor Madrigal. But prior to that, he was in a UAA Warriors event and, beat a bunch of cans. So he hasn't really faced any kind of competition like Ricky Simón. Like, this is a huge step up in competition for Vinicius here. Looking at the difference between the two here, we could see that Vinicius is going to have a 3-inch height advantage at 5'9". To Ricky Simón's 5'6", but Ricky Simón is used to fighting guys that are taller than him anyways. The reach advantage, there's none, basically 0.5, so the reach is the same. I don't really see where Vinicius gets a win here. unless he's able to, like, you know, get a puncher's chance there, like a knockout punch or something.
Well, which he has because he is a pretty good striker, but I don't think he's going to get one here on Ricky Simone.
Yeah, I think Ricky Simone is just going to dominate with the grappling. Like I said, he was taken down many times in his last fight. Vinicius was taken down by Bernardo Sopage, who was not anywhere close to the type of grappler that Ricky Simone is. So we are in agreement. First fight of the card, and yes, Ricky Simone is the pick. How he's going to win? I got Ricky Simone winning by. Let me see here. Actually, out of his 20 wins. Let's take a quick look here at Ricky Simone. Okay, so out of 20 wins, we're looking at 6 knockouts, 4 submissions, 10 decisions here. So he's very well rounded. And let's look at Vinicius, 20-3 here. Vinicius, he has 16 wins by knockout, 2 subs, and 2 decisions. But he did lose both of his. All 3 of his losses were by knockout for Vinicius. So I'm going to say that Ricky Simone can win by knockout or decision in this one. What about you?
Yeah, I'd go with decision on this one if I had to pick. Yeah.
All right, moving on up the card. Next fight, we got Carlos Hernandez versus Ray Tsuruya. In this one, I have to go with this new prospect, man. I'm hearing nothing but good things about this guy. I actually watched a video of this guy. This guy is actually unbelievable, man. This guy is a wrestler, like a professional wrestler. He's been wrestling all his life. The guy is absolutely amazing at wrestling and grappling, man. And he's got submissions too. He's 22 years old. He's going to be 2 inches shorter than Carlos Hernandez. For as far as the reach there, he's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage, Ray Tsuruya there. Carlos Hernandez coming off of he's got 2 losses in his last 5 fights. If I look at this a little bit more closely here, who has he lost to here? Carlos Hernandez. Let's take a look quickly here. All right, so he lost to Tetsuro Taira, who's also a very good grappler and a good submission guy, and Tetsuro Taira he's awesome. He did beat the fight before that. He beat Dennis Bondar by technical decision. He lost to Alan Nascimento. He got subbed by Alan Nascimento, so we can see that he's susceptible to submissions and also getting knocked out. He did beat Victor Altamirano by split decision, and Daniel Barez in the Dana White Contender Series. Ray, on the other hand, he's part of the road to UFC. He's just been smoking everybody. Last fight he won by knockout, by ground and pound. Before that it was a decision, then it was a submission, then it was another submission, and then it was another knockout. So he's a guy that goes out there and doesn't just try to wrestle and have control time. He likes to finish people. So he tries to, go out there and get the finish. And out of his 9 wins, Ray, he has 4 knockouts, 4 submissions, and 1 decision. So I'm predicting that he can get this win by KO or submission. So inside the distance here, I think that he's live for a finish here against Carlos. And like I said, Carlos Hernandez, not the greatest grappler. And when he does face grapplers, he has a hard time like he did against Tetsuro Taira here. So I think this guy Ray is going to get the job done.
Yeah, I think they're on different levels here. Like he's only 22, but I think he's better than Carlos Hernandez. I was surprised that Carlos Hernandez has that many fights in the UFC, and his record is only 9-3. But yeah, I think this is almost pretty much a kind of a setup fight to get Ray Tetsuro a win here, like for his first real UFC fight, is it? Yeah. Eh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So yeah, he looks exceptional on the ground, and I think he's probably going to get a sub here. So that's what I'm going to call.
All right, good one, man. And yeah, like I mentioned, Carlos Hernandez has a hard time against guys who are good at jiu-jitsu and good at grappling, such as Tetsuro Taira and Alan Nascimento, who were able to take him down and get him on the ground. And so that's why, for those reasons, I think Ray is a very good prospect here, and he's going to do well. So yeah, Ray Tetsura, good. We're in agreement with the second fight of the night. Let's
All
move
right.
the card here to the next one.
So we got a old man winner, Andrei Arlovsky against Martin Budai here. Uh, I gotta go with Martin Budai here. He's a big guy. He's not the most ripped guy, but he has that mass, and he comes forward and he has good volume. And I really see him just walking Arlovsky down and putting him up against the fence and probably getting a knockout that way at some point, or land on top of him and do some damage that way. Arlovsky in his prime, I would have taken obviously any day of the week against Virai, but I think he's slowing down, and for a while there he was actually all right, with a new style when he started getting old and he got real chinny. But now it's just like the slowdown portion is next completely. Like he's on a 3-fight losing streak, and the only possible way I feel he can win this fight is the good old decision, right? But I think I just don't think he's going to be able to do it against Budai. So I predict Budai by knockout or decision.
All right, man. So we are in
Real.
agreement again. I love this, man. Yes, I am totally with you, man. I'm also picking Martin Budai to get the win here. At some point, we have to call it quits for Andrei Arlovsky, man.
He's 45.
45 years old. And you're going to see the theme of this actual event, UFC 303. You're going to see a common theme. A lot of youngsters versus old guys in this card. And you will see that, a lot of times, man, there comes a point where you have to jump off of the train here. And Andrei Arlovsky is great. I love this guy. He's been amazing for years. But now it's time to hop off the train, man. He's starting to go on a decline, as we can see here. He lost the last 3 of his last 5 fights. Took a pretty, loss to Waldo Cortez Acosta, who in that fight, if you remember, Waldo was dancing around, like not even really trying hard against.
Waldo not showing respect to the legend.
Yeah, like he was literally dancing around, mocking him at times, and was just way better than him in that fight. Prior to that, he got knocked out pretty badly by Dontel Mays, who knocked him out with a huge right hook. I remember that one. That was a pretty bad one. And also, he got subbed by Marcos Rogerio de Lima the fight before that. And then prior to that, which was his last win, was 2 years and a month ago against Jake Collier. And that was a split decision win against Jake Collier, who's really not that great. And then before that, it was against Jared Vandera, and again by split decision. So he's barely winning against really crappy heavyweights there. So now he's facing Martin Budai, who's been doing very well in the UFC. Was on a 4-fight winning streak until he got that loss against Shamil Gaziev, where he got knocked out. But Shamil Gaziev is also very, very good at 11-0. But prior to that, he subbed Josh Parisian. He also beat Jake Collier by unanimous decision. He beat Lucas Brzeski by split decision, and he beat Chris Barnett by decision as well. So he's been doing well. Looking at the size here, he's going to have a 1-inch height advantage at 6'4". The reach is the same for both guys, but the age, man, 32 years old to 45, a 13-year difference, man. I really think that Martin Budai is going to be able to walk down Andrei Arlovsky and just walk him down, put the pressure on him, move forward, have Arlovsky fighting on his back, where he's basically backing up all the time, and I think that's where Martin Budai is going to be able to get him against the cage, get him in the clinch. And you know how Martin Budai fights. He likes to get you in the clinch. Then he hits you with the knees, hits you with some elbows, some good striking, some body shots. I think that also the leg kicks too from Budai at the beginning when they first start, you'll see him throw some leg kicks, which will slow down Arlovsky. And I don't think Arlovsky is going to be able to just like stay at a distance here and try to like do what he does there, stay at a distance and like try to just strike and dance around and move around and strike and strike. And I don't think that's going to work with Budai. Budai is going to cut off the cage. He's going to advance at him and move forward and keep him on his bike, and then he's going to just like keep striking at him and try to get it into a clinch. So I think that it's just going to be too much. Arlovsky doesn't have the power anymore. He hits like his punches are like feathers. They really don't do much damage. Martin Budai is stronger, more powerful in his striking, and also Arlovsky's chin is just done too, man. I think that a couple of hits to the chin from Budai and it's game over for Arlovsky. So I'm gonna predict Martin Budai gets the win here by knockout or decision. What about you? How do you predict Budai to win?
Yeah, I thought I already said a knockout decision.
Yeah, okay, perfect, man. So we were in agreement there. All right, let's move on up the card here to the next fight. We've got Michelle Waterson Gomez against Jillian Robertson. For this one here, I've been going back and forth on this one actually because I like Michelle Waterson. You know, she's a vet. You know, she's fought a lot of very good competition. She's very, very good at takedown defense. Her takedown defense is very good. Jillian Robertson is awesome at submissions. Very, very good jiu-jitsu and some decent takedowns, some decent grappling on Jillian's part here. I think Michelle Waterson is better at striking. I think she's a bit more technical at striking here. I just don't think she has it anymore now. She's also another one. Again, this is the theme of the card. 29 years old, Jillian Robertson, 38 years old, Michelle Waterson, like getting up there in age. She's a mother now, lost her last 4 fights, which is really, really bad. I thought they would have kicked her out.
Who's a mother? Who's a mother now?
Michelle Waterson.
Michelle Waterson was a mother for 15 years, though.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like she's got kids and stuff, so she's got that, you know, she's not, I don't know how serious she's taking it anymore. Look, she lost to Marina Rodriguez. She got knocked out by Marina Rodriguez in her last fight, which was 8 months ago. So she's coming off of a pretty bad knockout there. She lost to Luana Pinheiro by split decision. She got subbed by Amanda Lemos. And then she fought again Marina Rodriguez, the part 2 there, and the first time she lost by unanimous decision. And then finally, 3 years and 9 months ago, almost 4 years ago, was her last win against Angela Hill, and that was a split decision, which could have went the other way. On the other side, Jillian Robertson's been doing pretty good. She's won 3 of her last 5. She beat Polyana Viana by knockout, lost to Tabitha Ricci, which we see Tabitha Ricci is really good. She subbed Piera Rodriguez. She subbed Maria Agapova, lost to JJ Aldrich back in 2022. So I'm going to pick Jillian Robertson here to get the win. I'm not very, very confident in her, but I got to go with Jillian, man. I can't put my money on somebody who's lost 4 times in a row, who's getting up there in age. Not to mention Jillian's going to be bigger in this fight. She's 5'5". She's also going to have, compared to 5'3" for Michelle, and she's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. So I don't think that Michelle is going to be able to really do much on the offensive takedowns. I think that Jillian's going to be able to take her down with her size and get the submission in this one. I'm going to go with Jillian Robertson by submission. She's a savage. She's got a lot of subs and she fights really hard out there. So my pick is Jillian Robertson by submission. What you got here, Andy?
Yeah, she's actually called the Savage too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the only thing stopping me from that would stop me from picking Jillian Robertson was she doesn't have good takedowns. Like she's only averaging 43%. Not 90. What am I saying here? Yeah, 43%. That was right. And but it should be enough to get Michelle Waterson down, even in one of those ugly kind of, you know, when they're in close and she ends up tripping her down somehow. The only way I can see Waterson completely stop her is just keeping her away with those good kicks like the whole fight, right? But I don't think she can do that for the whole fight. It's only a matter of time before Robertson takes her down. And when she does, like she's gonna find the sub at some point. Like Jillian Robertson has a knack for finding subs. I think one of her goals is having the record for subs in the UFC for women or like in UFC in general. And I really think she could get that record because I don't think she's good enough to beat the upper competition, and she'll always be fighting like the mid-range ones and the ones that are susceptible towards getting sub way more often, you know. Uh, Either way, I think Michelle Watterson is also like, let's face it, she's kind of like slowing down. She's getting up there, and it seems like the wins are getting really hard for her to get these days, and I think it's going to be loss number 5 for her.
Yeah, I think that after this, if she loses this one here, I think it's out the door for her at this point. I mean, she is susceptible also to subs. Amanda Lemos subbed her by guillotine in one of those fights. If we look at the karate hottie here for a second here, I just want to see out of her 12 losses. Let's take a look at what they are by. So she lost 4 times by submission. So she has been sub 4 times, lost 6 decisions, and got knocked out twice. So she does get finished, man, and 4 losses by sub there. So she definitely can get subbed, and I think that that's the path to victory there for Jillian Robertson to latch on a sub and get her on the ground. All right, so
Yeah,
we are in agreement again here. This is
yeah.
looking good so far. Let's move on up the card to the next fight here. Just a second here. Sorry, we got
Yeah, it's Peyton Talbot.
Peyton Talbot.
Yeah, Peyton Talbot against Yanis Gamori. And now Peyton Talbot is the biggest favorite on this card. And for good reason. Like his striking is completely next level, it seems. And he uses his striking with some intelligence behind it. He can potentially have a weakness in grappling. I don't think he's really been tested all that much. And Gamuri is kind of more of a grappler than he's a striker, so I'm sure he's going to try and grapple with Talbot. But in the end, I think Talbot finds the knockout more likely. I say 80% chance Talbot wins by a knockout and 20% by a decision here. So that would be my pick.
Yes. All right, man. I'm not going to take too much time to talk about
Yeah.
this one here. We got Peyton Talbot, the younger fighter, at 25 years old. Yanis at 29. And what I like about this fight is Peyton Talbot's actually going to be the bigger guy here. He's going to have a 1-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach advantage here. Peyton Talbot's a beast, man. This guy is very, very powerful. He knocked out Cameron Simon in his last UFC fight. Also, prior to that, he subbed Nick Aguirre by rear naked choke. And in the Contender Series, won a decision against Reyes Cortez, who was also kind of a grappler there. Yanis Gamuri, he fought only once in the UFC, and he lost to William Gomis. He got knocked out with kicks to the body there. Prior to that, he was fighting in the Brave events
Yeah, it doesn't.
and fought a bunch of cans there. So he is a huge, huge, huge underdog. We'll talk about the betting if it's worth even a salt shake or a sprinkle on him. But Peyton Talbot's the pick right away, man. I got this guy winning by inside the distance easily by KO or submission here. Peyton Talbot just way too strong, way too powerful for Yanis Gamuri, and his takedown defense is good. He's also going to be able to do some offensive grappling of his own if he needs
Is
to.
it?
I'm sorry?
His takedown defense is
Yeah, he
good.
has good takedown defense, and I think that
I don't know.
Gamuri will have a hard time taking him down. I don't think he's going to take him down easily. And if he does take him down, Peyton Talbot gets right back up right away, man. He's very good at that as well. We saw that in the fight against Nick Aguirre, I think it was, where
I don't think we saw it against anybody, man. But I'm just checking to see if I can
somebody
find
took
some
him
quick
down in
stats on
his last couple of fights there. I remember he got taken down and he got up right away. I don't know if it was against Cameron Simon or if it was against Nick Aguirre, but I remember him getting up when he gets taken down. So Anyways, I mean, we are in agreement with this one, Peyton Talbot, but you can't really do much with him on a betting standpoint there unless you're going to look for some props and see how much the KO sub is worth. We'll have to talk about that in the betting video. So Peyton Talbot's the pick for me. We are in agreement here by finish. I have him winning by finish. All right, let's move on up to the next fight here. We've got Charles Air Jourdain against Gene Silva.
Ooh, yo, yeah.
That's my turn, I think, eh?
Yeah, go ahead.
So in this one, I'm gonna go with Gene Silva in this one. Um,
Oh,
Charles,
whoa. Gene Silva. I thought Charles Jourdain was your boy.
I like Charles Jourdain, but he's been losing lately. He lost 3 out of his last 5 fights. Um, Looking at the difference here, he's 28. Gene Silva's 27, so they're close in age there. 5'9" to 5'7", not big of a gap there, and the same reach at 69 inches. I like Gene Silva because of the grappling, man. This is more of a grappler versus striker. I know Charles Jourdain's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but Gene Silva is going to be the better grappler in this one. He's going to be the better on the ground, and Charles Jourdain is not the greatest when he's on his back. Charles Jourdain lost his last fight to Sean Woodson by split decision. He did beat Ricardo Ramos by submission, and he did get a decision win against Kron Gracie, who we know is absolute garbage. He lost to Nathaniel Wood by decision and lost to Shane Burgos by decision as well. Gene Silva, on his side here, he beat Weston Wilson by knockout in his last fight. Prior to that, he beat Kevin Vallejos in the Dana White's Contender Series. And then prior to that, he was in the lower level events of Spartacus. But I got Gene Silva winning this one just by more. He's going to be better at grappling, better on the ground. He also punches extremely hard. He's got very good knockout power. And I think that he's going to be able to put a pace on Charles Jourdain and get him on the ground, get some ground and pound, and possibly knock out Charles Jourdain. We see that Charles Jourdain has, he normally loses by decision, but I think Gene Silva can win by knockout or decision. I think that he is live for a finish as well. My pick is Gene Silva. Who you got here?
Yeah, my pick is Gene Silva also.
Nice.
I like Charles Jourdain. I don't know many MMA fans who don't appreciate a Charles Jourdain fight, but I don't think he's he's as good as people love him to, if that makes any sense. Um, I think Gene Silva has more power, and I'm just looking up some stats here. Sorry. Yeah, Gene Silva definitely has more power. Like he has 9 wins by knockout, 2 wins by sub, 1 win by decision. I noticed when I was looking into this fight, I think that Jourdain loses to guys that have like decent to good to great striking more than he'd lose to a more of a pure grappler type. I think Gene Silva actually is better on the feet than Charles Jourdain overall. He could mix in the grappling too, Gene Silva also, which opens up the striking as well. But I think it's more the power here that's going to hurt Charles Jourdain. But I think this fight is going to go late, and I know it'll be exciting. And I'm just excited to see it. But I'm going to give the advantage to Gene Silva here, based on the knockout power. And based on, I don't think Charles Jourdain is as good as his excitement brings, if that makes sense. So yeah, knockout decision for Silva.
Beautiful. We are in
Yes.
agreement in that one as well.
I
All
really
right.
thought you were going to take Jourdain in that one.
No. I
Yeah.
like Gene Silva. I think he's just going to be more powerful. All right. Next fight, we got Cub Swanson here against Andre Feely here. Who you got here, Andio?
Wow. I was waiting for a long time for this fight to come up, actually, since Feely fought last. And I'm not going to get into this fight at all. I'm going to just say my pick is going to be Andre Feely because he lost his last fight. And what Feely does after a loss is he gets the win. I don't care who his opponent would be or will be. His opponent happens to be Cub Swanson. Andre Feely is the favorite. Cub's getting up there. Cub is slowing down. Cub gasses these days. Andre Fili is better rounded. But if Andre Fili were coming off a win, I would 100% be picking Cub Swanson. But he's coming off a loss. So I'm picking Andre Fili here. No questions asked. I'm super confident.
Yeah, we see he has kind of a pattern here: loss, win, loss, win, loss, and then of course he's due for a win. And it's the reverse for Cub Swanson. He had a win, loss, win, loss, win. He's due for a loss. So if we go with that pattern, but yeah, I also like Andre Fili. I just feel like he has more ways to win in this one. I think he's the Cub Swanson's getting up there in age, of course, at 40 years old. 34 years old for Fili, not that much of a difference, but I like the fact that Fili's going to be bigger in this one at 5'11", so he's going to have a 3-inch height advantage, 5'11" to 5'8", and also a 4-inch reach advantage, which I think is going to be enough. I think Andre Fili's going to land some very good kicks against Cub Swanson to slow Cub Swanson down with his kicks, and I think Andre Fili's very dangerous as well. He can get a submission or a knockout in this one as well. I think that Andre Fili's going to get the win here. I have him winning by knockout or decision as well in this one. So yeah, Andre Fili's the pick.
Wow, how do I call it? I'll go with knockout decision as well for
All
Fili.
right, perfect. Moving on up the card to the main event of the prelims. Now we got Joe Pyfer against Marc-Andre Barriault. I'll keep this one simple as we're running out of time here, but I'm going to go with Joe Pyfer for sure. I like this guy to get the knockout on Marc-Andre Barriault. I think, Body Bags is amazing, man. This guy, we know he can grapple. We know he can strike. We know he's powerful. He came off of that unfortunate loss there in his last fight. I believe that he could have maybe, if he would have used a better game plan in that fight, he could have won. He did not use his grappling much in that fight. And I think in this one, I think he's going to be able to mix the grappling with the punches. In his last fight, when he lost against Jack Hermansson is amazing too, but he didn't use enough grappling against Jack Hermansson. He decided to strike with him, which he should have used more grappling. Marc-Andre Barriault is a guy that keeps coming forward at you. He keeps coming at you with crazy strikes. He lost his last fight to Chris Curtis. He beat Eric Anders and Julian Marquez. And he also lost to Anthony Hernandez. He got subbed. I think that Joe Pyfer has the better ways of winning here in this one. I got Joe Pyfer to win by inside the distance, KO or submission.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take Body Bags also. I like Barrio. Barrio's a grinder and he's tough and he's had a long career. But there's one thing Barrio doesn't do, and it's beat people when he gets that step up in competition. Now, I'm only going to use the last third of his career to prove this point. We got a win against Abu Azatar. We got a win against Dalshali Gambula. We get a loss against Chidi Nakajwani. We get a win against Jordan Wright. We get a loss against Fluffy Hernandez. We get a win against Julian Marquez, Eric Anders. Then we get a loss against Chris Curtis, right? Like anytime he gets on the road to getting a step up, better fights, better ranking, he does not win. I don't think he's going to be beating Joe Pyfer these days. It's just not in the cards for him. I say my pick is with the guy who has the strongest punch in the history of humanity, stronger than Francis Ngannou's, and that's Joe Pyfer. Knockout or decision? No, knockout sub.
There you go, a finish inside the distance. That's
Yes.
what I think too. And not to mention, he fought against one of the best submission specialists in the division against Gerald Mearshart, and he managed to knock him out. And Mearshart was no threat to taking him down or using his ground game against Joe Pyfer. So I think Joe Pyfer is looking really live here to get the finish against Barriault. I don't see Barriault trying to grapple or take down Joe Pyfer. I think Barriault's just going to move forward and keep it striking, and that's where I think that Joe Pyfer is going to be able to take down Marc-Andre Barriault, get him on the ground, and get some ground and pound there, or latch in a sub. So there you have it, folks. This is unbelievable compared to last week. We are in agreement with all the fights. Me and Andy O in agreement with all the fights in the prelims. This is very good. When we are in agreement with everything, we make money. So I like the way this is looking so far. There you have it, folks.
So because that happened, just hit that like, hit that subscribe.
That's right. Hit the like and subscribe, folks. There we have it. Our early predictions for the prelims. Stay tuned for our next video for the main card. Peace out, folks.